off this list, in our number 10 spot we have A Cautionary Tale. We are starting off spooky today with this one. This video serves as a reminder to always be aware of your surroundings. This video shows a woman and her son coming home, and it appears to be dark outside. Nothing is out of the ordinary, they're just getting inside and talking about their evening routine, that sort of thing. The danger only comes once the door is closed and we see a man quickly approach the door that they just went through. The guy tries to open the door, but thankfully they had already locked it and he wasn't able to. The woman sees the man either through the door or on the doorbell camera, and she begins telling him to get out of there. He clearly was watching them and waiting for them to enter, hoping that they wouldn't have locked the door so quickly. Like I mentioned before, it's just a great reminder to always watch your surroundings. You unfortunately never know.
Number 9. The Bare Necessities. The first of the many bear clips coming in this list. Here we go. Now, it's one thing for a person to try and enter your home out of the blue. That's pretty jarring. But when an animal does it, it can be a lot harder to handle. Like say, I don't know, a bear for example. This doorbell recording is, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty badass. It's not even a year old. You've probably seen it, hopefully not. It's straight out of Daytona Beach, Florida. A man was chilling on his porch one evening with his puppies, and a bear, I guess, saw the puppies and then just decided to approach. Not in a calm demeanor. After growling and pushing the bear back, the man quickly used a bench to block the bear from coming back again. Yeah, good thing you had that bench, that giant bench just handy. That's crazy. Who has a bench? Must be nice.
In our number 8 spot today we have A Strange Moment. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I have talked about this video on the channel before, and I'm bringing it back for this one because this remains one of the strangest things I've ever seen, and we see a lot of weird stuff here on Most Amazing Top 10. Why don't you actually leave us a comment down below on what the strangest thing you can remember seeing on this channel is. I'm sure there's some of you out there who have some pretty good ones. This doorbell footage shows a stranger approaching the door, and instead of knocking or attempting to rob them or threatening them, he instead just begins licking their doorbell. There is no amount of doorbell licking that is an appropriate amount, but I have to say this guy really overdoes it. Like, he is absolutely going to town on their doorbell. So much so, they probably had to get a new one, because at what point do you just let that slide? Would you ever feel comfortable touching that doorbell again? Letting your guests touch it, knowing what it went through? I just simply couldn't. I don't want that weighing on my shoulders. Anyway, this video is definitely one I'd call concerning.
Number 7. Parkour. If you're not thinking about getting a doorbell camera at this point, well, perhaps this next clip might do the trick. Let's see. Now, this is the middle of the night. This guy is trying to climb onto the roof, it seems. Maybe a window was open. He was trying to Romeo and Juliet situation. I don't really know. Who knows? But it doesn't seem like he knew there was a camera there, which is the most alarming part. Imagine checking the footage the next morning and it's just a stranger bouldering your front door. That's probably pretty alarming. It's just his crotch right there for about 2 minutes. It's not very healthy for the soul.
At number 6, we have the creepy case where the voice answering the doorbell wasn't the voice of the owner of the house. This video was uploaded by YouTube user Brian Goley back in October of 2017. When he got a Ring doorbell from Home Depot, it appeared to have been one that was returned before, slightly opened in the case. And even after having the account apparently wiped, he was hearing another man's voice answering his doorbell for him.
Yo.
Who is this? Why is somebody...
Imagine forgetting your keys and ringing the doorbell to your own house, only for someone else to say a little hello? Spooky, right?
Why are you answering my doorbell?
Somehow it's getting disconnected to my doorbell.
With his wife and him thoroughly creeped out that someone else was receiving and answering their alerts, they talked to Ring support again. And they found out that the MAC ID on the box and the MAC ID on the device didn't even match. So watch out with the gadgets you're getting. Eventually, Ring sent Goley a brand new unit, so it was fixed. Talking about getting something new, let's move on to number 5, another creepy dressed up character. YouTube user Katrina Vega was waiting for a UPS package that was scheduled to come at 8 p.m. at night. She gets a Ring notification that someone is at her door, which she ignores, as many of us do, because we all ignore our doors if the doorbell rings. Let's be real. Because we all know that mail people run away once they drop off a package, right? That's the meme. Anyways, she also may have ignored it because she thought nothing was up. The thing is, her package wasn't there when she checked for it. So she checked her doorbell footage, and lo and behold, this creepy person in a costume was lingering at her door with a weird lollipop for a whole minute. What if she opened the door? What then? What then? See, this is why I always wait for one of my roomies to answer the door, because I can't deal with this. Do you realize how short I am? My legs I can't run from these people. No. But anyways, What's another thing other than creepy late night encounters that you hope not to see when checking your doorbell camera? Fire. At number 4, we have a fire across the street. About 3 years ago in Clovis, California, Catherine Gahn woke up from a Ring notification. Although there was no one at her door, the motion sensor was triggered at 4 in the morning. The bell triggered because a fire was raging across the street. So across the street, all of her neighbors were sound asleep, none the wiser, and things could have taken a turn for the worse. Thank goodness Gahn raced across the street and woke up her neighbors. So their lives were saved. Next up at number 3, we have a woman scaring the residents of this home at 2 a.m.
Mom. 30.
This woman shakes her hair at the doorbell camera and is peering into it, kind of like this, and it's not the most comforting or typical greeting at a door for sure. YouTube user Chelsea Brewer uploaded this video earlier this year, asking viewers to help her figure out what the lady is saying. Can you figure it out?
Say help me, please. Miss K.
I hear her begin to whisper sayings like, "Do you want to see?" and the word "mom" in kind of a haunting voice, and she walks off after, but if that happened to me, I know I wouldn't be answering the door. And honestly, I wouldn't be answering the next one either. At number 2, we have footage of a creepy kid in what appears to be a scary baby doll mask. In a video uploaded by Donnie and Leanne on YouTube, the kid, which they believe is a girl, is scary. So the kid rings the bell, backs up a step or two, and then starts to sing ominously before charging at the camera and screaming. I had to watch that clip more than once, and I wish I didn't have to. I can't handle jump scares. So like next, we're just gonna move on to the next one. Watch the video again for yourself if you really want to. Put yourself through that. Okay. Anyways, last on our list at number 1 is an actual alleged kidnapping. In September in Arcadia, California, a Ring doorbell camera caught footage of a neighbor abusing his estranged girlfriend. In the video, the woman runs up to the door, clearly scared, and knocks frantically. Then you can see the man ran up, grabbed her by the hair, and dragged her off the porch and onto the lawn. During this, she called out for help and screamed no. The footage is appalling, but the good news is that the man was arrested thanks to the doorbell camera.
Number 10, doorbell licker. And immediately into the weird. Here we go, I'm wasting no time today. This one's short and sweet, not much explaining to do here. Back in 2019, a man was caught on camera approaching a home in a neighborhood in Salinas, California. He was seen through this Ring camera. Now, he doesn't say much, he just shows up and immediately he starts licking the doorbell. Not the camera, but the actual button, like the actual doorbell. He must have rang the bell thousands of times because he did this for 3 hours straight. The homeowner said in a following interview after seeing the footage, they said, and I quote, "Oh boy, that is just weird." Yeah, oh boy indeed, that's quite weird. I'm getting a doorbell camera tomorrow. Number 9, Vegas visitor. This one was quite recent. Watching the video absolutely freaks me out. This is terrifying. This happened just over a year ago in Las Vegas. This was at 8:20 p.m. It's barely nighttime, and this man shows up out of nowhere, and the doorbell cam catches him asking to come inside the house. He's asking the homeowner over and over if he can enter, and then proceeds to announce horrible things that he'll do once inside the house. This is terrifying. This guy is also humongous. He could kick this door down if he wanted to. He also announces that he has weapons on him, and then he announces that he intends to use said weapons. It's so jarring. This guy was thankfully arrested later on thanks to this doorbell camera being on. Don't answer the door to anyone. Just play it safe always. I didn't answer the door to the paper kid growing up because it's not worth it. People are so scary. And also that kid was weird. Number 8, TV head. Stepping away from the worst of the worst for a hot minute, let's shine the spotlight on some weird stuff, you know? Like for example, the guy wearing a TV on his head. Yep, that's pretty weird. That's a thing, apparently. I actually remember seeing this a few years ago. It kind of spooked me. Back in 2019, this man would appear in Virginia and he visited more than 50 residents. He would show up with the TV on as a head, and then if that wasn't already weird enough, he would leave an old TV on your doorstep. They're all old, humongous TVs. They're so annoying to move. Also, at the same time, this is so creepy. Middle of the night, this guy shows up. Many believe this man was inspired by the comic book series Saga. There's a race of, TV alien heads in that comic. So this could be a fan of Prince Robot IV. Who knows? Either way, this is so annoying. Like imagine an elderly couple waking up having to figure this out on a Sunday morning. That's so inconsiderate. Don't do this. Don't be a prankster. Get out of here. Number 7, attempted break-in. This one happened around 2 p.m. Another horrifying encounter happening in broad daylight. How is this? This is so scary. 2 men attempted to kick the front door down and break in an Oakland, California home. One man rang the bell. The person who was home at the time was wearing headphones, listening to music, so luckily they didn't hear the initial doorbell ring. The man came back again with a partner shortly after, and this time they tried ringing again, and then after getting no response, he attempted to kick the door down. Now the person who was home did hear this, and they yelled, and the attackers luckily fled the scene. This is so terrifying. This happened in the middle of the day. Just no matter what, if you don't know the person, don't answer the door, call 911. Easy, play it safe.
In our number 6 spot today, we have bad intentions. This video is taken from a Ring doorbell camera and it captures something very real and terrifying. This video shows 2 robbers going up to the house and knocking on the door, hoping for the family inside to open the door. Apparently the one who knocks on the door was even saying the name of one of the family members, so it's likely that they somehow knew each other. Luckily the family obviously checked the camera before heading to the door and saw this because they were actually home at the time and no one answered. The robbers didn't even try to break in, but were obviously waiting for someone to open the door, which feels really sinister.
Number 5, busted. Welcome to the future. This is why you don't try and steal a bike in 2022 or 2021 if you can go back in time. If you're a time traveler, don't do it then either. You're gonna get caught, and you're gonna get caught in 4K.
Can I help you with something? Can you please put that back?
I didn't take anything. I just looked at it. My bad. I took a piss, and then I saw it was a bike. I just looked at the bike. Sorry.
Imagine getting caught and having a conversation in real time with the homeowner. How embarrassing is that? Backpack Brandon over here decided to hop into a stranger's backyard, urinate, and as if that wasn't already, enough red flags, Backpack Brandon decides to take a peek under this tarp at an expensive motorcycle. Yeah, it's not looking very good. Not looking very nice in your case there, my friend. That's when the owner luckily hops onto the hot mic inside the house and they have a real life conversation right there.
My bad.
Gotta leave the house. The police are on the way.
Get cameras, because you never know. Somebody's curious bladder might just roll up onto your back or front yard.
In our number 4 spot today, we have doorbell footage. This next footage comes from a doorbell camera and it shows the terrifying moment a stranger begins trying to break into a woman's home. She starts off by kind of backing up and just throwing her body into a window until it breaks. The stranger wasn't in any immediate danger, she was fine, but it does appear as though she may be a little bit confused about her whereabouts, which is of course a huge problem and is for sure kind of sad. The woman whose home it is rightfully pretty freaked out and concerned about what is happening. I mean, I mentioned how the stranger trying to break in is confused, so you can imagine how confused the lady, who was probably just trying to sleep, was. Eventually, a police officer shows up and speaks to the woman who claims that her friend is in the house. Obviously, this isn't the case, but this is why I believe she may have been confused as to where exactly she was. In the end, everyone left the situation safely, but the tensions were definitely high.
Number 3, Balloon Kid. It's one thing to catch a bear or a person sniffing and or licking your front door, but sometimes you catch bizarre once-in-a-lifetime incidents, like this one, for example. What a graceful landing, first of all, and also, where did this come from? Who does this? What, is this like a neighborhood common occurrence? Hot air balloons are terrifying. Yeah, here, hop in this wicker basket and we'll see what happens. We'll see where you end up. Maybe someone's backyard, I don't know. How do you even steer these things? We'll fill it with hot breath and you'll sail around the world. So romantic. Have you ever rode in a hot air balloon? Is it romantic or is it terrifying? Comment down below because, I don't know, we're both afraid of heights. A hot air balloon. Imagine a hot air balloon date. That would be our collective demise. No way.
In our number 2 spot today, we have the nosy neighbor. This doorbell video, or really series of videos, shows a nosy neighbor trying their hardest to destroy the camera that their neighbor has set up. I'm not sure why they feel so strongly about these cameras, but clearly he does because he will not let them rest. He tries his hands, a screwdriver, he tries a hammer for the camera in the back. Clearly this guy doesn't want the camera around, but I have to ask the question as to why. Why is he so worried about these cameras on his neighbor's property? Seems a little suspicious to me.
And finally, number 1, can't bear it. All right, we're gonna finish with another bear clip. Actually 2, we're gonna do a 2-for-1 because it's Christmas. Well, at least it's Christmas in this recording, in this doorbell recording. Here we go. 2018 in Florida. It's the holiday season and this black bear is in no festive mood, my friends. Look at this little Grinch right here. First, he knocks over the lovely decor, and then just to wake everybody up, he politely boops the doorbell with his nice damp little nose. Oh, they're so cute. I want to pet it, but I don't want to lose my arm, so never pet a black bear. Deal. There's the link. We'll put it in somewhere. If you're wondering how you can avoid such an encounter, put up a cross. Yeah, apparently crosses hanging outside of your home compels bears from trashing your front doorstep. Yeah, this one here is from Alaska. This bear stands up, which first of all, so jarring, stands up, looks at the cross, and then decides, I'm gonna head out. I'm not a religious man myself, but it seems a few black bears are, so there you go, the more you know.
Coming in at number 10 is Let Me In. Now, Mandy set up Ring cameras around her rural property to capture footage of the wildlife, but when the mom of 2 was out with her family one night, she got a notification about movement near her back door. When she looked at the footage, she noticed a shadow before someone loudly whispers the words, "Let me in." There is then rapid scratching as if someone is trying to enter her home. Now, terrified by the encounter, she started closely monitoring her cameras, and when she found more footage of a figure lurking near her back shed, and then another night a cloaked person slowly walked up to her backyard, staring up at her house. Now, in the first clip, a strange figure walks into the corner of the frame and lingers near Mandy's back shed before leaving. In the second clip, the person makes her way into the backyard and stands just a meter from the back steps near where Mandy was tending to her sick baby inside. "We notified authorities, but this is making me feel angry, confused, and concerned," she said. Now, Mandy went on to explain that she had now added extra security cameras with floodlights and that the US couple are now armed in order to protect their family from any future trespassers. Now, people were incredibly disturbed by the footage Mandy had captured, saying they believe the first one to be a spirit, but the second one to be an actual person messing with the family. Yeah, I think they need to move ASAP. Number 9. Are you sure? Now, this footage scares me to my core. It shows a man approaching a house and repeatedly knocking on the door while repeating, "I just have a couple questions for you. Are you sure?" Now, this goes on for a couple of minutes before a man responds over the Ring doorbell. At this point, the footage turns all the more unsettling as the man at the door says he wants to take advantage of and end the life of the woman inside the house. Now, the footage was shared by Amanda Nowak of Las Vegas, and according to Amanda, she was inside the house hiding during the entire encounter. Now, the man never saw her and was never actually speaking directly to her in the tense 3 minutes, and thankfully the man has been arrested, but that doesn't make the footage any less unnerving. Number 8. Past homeowner. Apparently, if your family owned a property decades ago and sold it, that still means it's yours. Well, at least according to Judy Klein. Since January 2022, she has been harassing a Mexican family in St. Louis, Missouri, accusing them of being in the country illegally. Over several incidents, Judy had broken into their basement, damaged items, racially family, and threatened them with a hammer. It wasn't until Ring footage of her shouting obscenities on the family's doorstep was put online that the authorities took things more seriously. In the past year, Judy had reportedly only been taken into custody temporarily, which is why she kept coming back. In February 2023, Judy was arrested on several charges, including burglary and using a weapon. In June, she gained another offense with interference of housing rights, and now she's also banned from being near or contacting the family. Number 7. The Masked Man. Finding a masked man at your front door in the middle of the night can be pretty scary, but when that man returns to your home 3 times in 1 week, it's downright frightening, a blogger for Ring explains. Now, they said that because that's exactly what happened to a family in Milford, Connecticut. After just a couple of days into their vacation, where they were more than 100 miles away from their home, Ring alerted them that a masked man was at their front door. Though he couldn't break in, he returned a few days later. Now, despite the family sending the videos to police and local news stations, the man returned again. This time, however, he was arrested, and thank God, because who knows what he would have tried to do.
Number 6, Matt doesn't live here. This one I need your help on, honestly. There's a backstory here and we need to find it. We need to figure this out. Back in 2016, in the middle of an August summer night, this man approaches, topless, always a great sign, and as he's slowly approaching this home, he's looking back at somebody off camera, right? He has the "I'm about to ring the doorbell and run away" vibe. You know what I'm saying? He's looking back, he's getting ready, he's stretching his arms out, something's gonna happen. But instead of knocking and running, he pretends to knock, he knocks the air, and then pretends to ask somebody if Matt's home. He does it so the other person can clearly see him doing this. So I don't know if it was a dare or some sort of attempted break-in that we just can't yet decipher, but either way, it's jarring. Sound off in the comments down below. What was this guy doing? Number 5. A grim warning. This one comes from user rightmind2723. Great name. They say, we had a series of break-ins in our neighborhood when doorbell cameras first came out. So we got one because my husband often worked late and I would be home alone with the kids. Great idea. I'm starting to understand your username. Right mind indeed, my friend. Very right mind. Since they were so new, most people didn't know that it was a camera. So one night my phone pinged that there was a movement. I pulled it up and it was two guys talking about if they should try and go to the back of the house to break in. I was on the line with 911 so fast and the cops arrived even faster. The cops caught them both and it turns out these were the two men responsible for all of the other break-ins. Yeah, they didn't realize I was home. Neighbors all got cameras after this. Yeah, as they should. You should get 7% of their profits. That's like, you know what, you got some deals. 20 people buy stuff, that's, you know, you're working for them. Again, play it safe, call 911, hide. Exhibit A. Number 4, found a key. Ooh, this one comes from Reddit user ending is near here. Okay, solid name, a little more spooky than the last, but we'll like it. They say, once I got an alert that someone was at the door. My dog was also barking at the time, but I didn't hear a knock. I then heard something myself, so I checked the camera, and I saw this younger looking guy at the doorstep. He had walked up and tried to unlock my front door with what I guess was a key he found on the ground close to my house. Luckily, he didn't get in. This happened in broad daylight with cars still in the driveway. Yeah, these types of scenarios always creep me out. People love hiding keys and like fake rocks in front of their homes. Don't do this, no way. People know about these. They will look for fake rocks. Also, they're pretty obvious most of the time. I don't know. Keep your spares very hidden. People will try anything at any time. Number 3, sleepwalker. My brother Kyle has night terrors. This man would get up in the middle of the night and just start doing dishes and whistling. It was so terrifying. I truly feel bad for sleepwalkers, okay? I get it. Not as much as Kyle, but I get it. I've seen it. This one comes from Reddit user Raging Ball of Fury. Amazing name. They say, my little brother is a sleepwalker. We'd gotten an alert and saw that he had snuck out of the house while we were still asleep. And my sister said she heard someone talking just outside of the front door. I went to look and I saw my brother sitting on the porch, apparently having a conversation with our grandfather despite being alone at the time. She says he was saying, I love you and I'm going to miss you. Nice stuff like that. My dad got him back inside the house without waking him up, which is also so impressive, side comment, and nobody gave it much thought until a couple hours later when my uncle called telling us my grandfather had passed away while he was asleep. My little brother says he doesn't remember any of this, but we got it all on video. We can't hear what he's saying too clearly, but he was definitely talking to somebody, and he sure as heck said, I'm going to miss you, at least twice. That's touching. I had to throw in a nicer one before we, you know, get yucky again. Number 2. Not cops. Immediately back into the terrifying again. This is a hard one. If I saw this outside my front door, I would have probably opened the door. I don't know, this is confusing. This is why doorbell cameras with audio are vital, okay? This comes from an anonymous source. They say, I have a camera doorbell. The creepiest thing I ever saw was the night I had two cops come to my door. They stood outside the door talking to each other about if I was home or not and who would have me first or try and break in first. I was at home at the time and my dog alerted me by whining at the door. So I checked the DV cam, saw them, listened to them talking for about 10 seconds before I myself called the real 911. The operator told me they didn't have any cops in my area at the time and to stay away from the door and to put at least one more locked door between me and them and to stay on the line and to be quiet until the real cops could get there. This is how you do it, okay. I live around the block from a fire department, so it was less than 2 minutes when a fire truck pulled up, then these two fake cops ran away. God, that's so scary. The amount of videos I've seen online where people pretend to be police officers, it's terrifying. And also so cringe. Just like a dude trying to pull you over, he's like grabbing a non-existent vest. I'm like, what are you doing? This is, get a job. Unless you call them, pretend like you aren't home. Just hide, or unless you're a criminal, then for sure come out. It's over, Buster, right? You're going to jail. And finally, number 1. Not hired help. This one is very controversial in the comments. I need to know where you all stand on this matter, because I myself am on the fence. I wanted to end this video off on a little question mark. This footage is from 2017, and the description of the video says, a suspicious man walks to my door and has no clear answers to my questions and then leaves. Thanks to Ring Doorbell for saving the day yet again. Okay, quite the description, so I watched it, I read the comments, let's talk shop. Half of the comments here are upset at the user. They're defending this man off the bat, saying clearly it sounds like he was part of the crew that had laid the tile outside of the homeowner's door previous, right? It must have been a long time ago, and if you're not the original homeowner, he's mixing you up with somebody else. Somebody else comments how the guy noticed a package on the ground, but he didn't steal it. So he's not a thief, right? Others think he's trying to get more work done by coming back to the same location, right? My take on this, again, if you don't know who's at your door, you don't have to get it. You're an adult. That's it. Enough said. That's your home. You can do whatever you want. Just pretend like you're taking a That's it. Sorry, I missed the door. This person in the recording was talking to the man, and they told him that they weren't home for another 20 minutes because they were in a meeting. They were a little bit too polite in a sense, even if it was okay to be polite to someone. You know what I mean? Never tell anybody you're home. Stay safe. Okay? That's it. Stay safe. That's how I'm gonna end this.
Starting off this countdown, we have the slithery friend. Oh, I don't like snakes. That is terrifying. Look how big it is. Oh, hell no. Oh no, hell to the no. No, no. I would never go outside ever again. Where is this? Where are they living? Thank God in Canada we don't have just like snakes roaming around to like climb on our doors. But imagine opening up the door and seeing that guy just like, hey, how's it going? That's my snake impression. But I think it would be vicious and like attack. No thank you, I really don't like snakes. They give me the heebie-jeebies. Moving on to number 9, we have the masked man. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then you know the drill. Hit that thumbs up button because it really helps us out. The creepy masked man that you just saw came to the same house 3 times in 1 week. The homeowners, Richard and Sandra Gerber, were away on vacation when they got an alert that someone was at their front door. This man would come, ring the doorbell, and then leave. Like I said, he did this on 3 different nights. On one night, he tried to break in. Now the owners alerted the police about this man, and so they actually staked out in their backyard. They were just waiting for the man to return. And they caught him. Turns out that the scary masked man is a man named Walter Denike, and he was arrested and found guilty of attempted burglary. In our 8th spot, we have the creepy doll. What is going on? What is going on? I don't like that. I don't like creepy dolls. I don't like a lot of things. I just realized I don't like snakes. I don't like creepy dolls. Wow, but that thing's terrifying, especially with the sound effects. Can you imagine looking and you're like, oh, who's there? Oh, is it a Girl Scout? And you look and it's this girl? That's creepy. No thank you. Call the cops. Stage your house. Get out of there. Coming in at number 7, we have the doorbell licker. On Saturday, January 5th, in the early hours of the morning, a doorbell cam caught a strange man licking someone's doorbell system for 3 hours. Why did he do this? Well, that's the question we all want to know. Doesn't he have better things to do? Guess not. The homeowners were confused as to who this man was and why he decided to target their house for a licking session. Well, they ended up giving the footage over to the police and they managed to catch the man. His name is Robert Arroyo, and apparently he has been accused of stealing extension cords from Christmas decorations. And so police recognized him instantly, and they too were weirded out by his behavior.
Number 6, poison. A man who lived below a family in Florida got fed up with hearing noises from above him and felt that his complaints were not being heard, so he tried to poison them, and it was caught on camera. Umar Abdullah, his pregnant wife, and their young daughter moved into the apartment complex in June 2022. The man below them soon began sending angry texts to his new neighbors, complaining that he was losing sleep over the sound of a toilet seat clanging. Soon after, the family suddenly began experiencing unexplained bouts of nausea and dizziness. A family friend first noticed a chemical odor while grabbing a package for them while they were away on vacation. Umar then also noticed the scent and suspected an issue with his water heater. However, the stench
persisted even after he replaced the appliance and had his air ducts and vents cleaned. Now, desperate for resolution, he called the fire department, who conducted tests but found nothing amiss. Now, he eventually noticed a small crack in his doorway and began to suspect his neighbor. After falling ill yet again, he set up a hidden camera outside his door and was shocked to see his neighbor crouching down and emptying a syringe under his front door. The man used a laboratory on the University of South Florida campus to mix and load liquid syringes on multiple occasions with the intent to harm residents of the condominium. He was then arrested on June 27th, and a hazmat team revealed the liquid chemical agent contained a combination of methadone and hydrocodone, both opioid pain medications. Now, word of the shocking poisoning sent other residents of the Oxford Place at Tampa Palms into a state of panic, and according to a suit, they seek to kick out the man and his co-owner roommate from the complex. Number 5. Standing visitor. A woman who wished to remain anonymous checked her doorbell camera to find a stranger standing outside her house and staring for a few minutes. The resident, who lives in one of the houses in the Darlings of Hart Village near Hartpool, said the incident happened at 3:15 a.m. on Monday, January 31st, 2022. She shared the alarming footage to a local community Facebook page and warned other residents to be careful. In the clip, a tall, skinny-built man in a dark-colored jacket walks to the footpath right in front of her house and stops midway. He stalls and appears to check on his phone before stepping forward again, taking a pause. Now, according to the timestamp, he stayed for about 6 minutes before he walked away from the camera. The woman said he stood there for a few minutes from 3:15 a.m. to 3:21 a.m. She added then that he disappeared for an hour, not sure where, and then he came back running from the side of her house into a car. Nothing seems to be taken, but it's just super creepy, she said. She asked her neighbors to see if they have seen the man near their houses, but they said no, but a resident replied on her Facebook page that something similar happened to them a few weeks ago. Number 4. Kidnapping. On November 12, 2019, disturbing footage of a woman screaming for help was captured from a Ring doorbell camera in Los Angeles around 11 p.m. Now, the police were not aware of the doorbell footage until the following morning, but responded to a report of a possible kidnapping. LAPD officer Mike Lopez said responding authorities could not find evidence of a crime, and after the footage came to light, the LAPD reopened their investigation. Now, the screams were thought to be coming from a white vehicle that drives down the street. A woman is heard yelling, "Somebody help me," and a witness claims she also heard a man say, "I'm sorry." Now, what's crazy about this footage though is that the neighbor comes out of her house and hears all the screaming and does absolutely nothing. The bystander effect is truly disgusting, and she could have saved that woman. Number 3. Doorbell liquor. On January 8, 2019, police started searching for a man in Salinas, California, who spent 3 hours licking a doorbell in the middle of the night. The individual in question, Roberto Daniel Aurora, was easy to track down thanks to a newly installed surveillance system at the home. The Duggan family were not home when Roberto made his way to their doorbell, but their children were. Roberto also moved an extension cord in the front yard, and he relieved himself on camera. But yeah, he licked a doorbell for 3 hours, which is just disturbing. You kind of laugh about it afterwards because technically he didn't harm anyone, he didn't break anything, homeowner Sylvia told ABC, but I don't know if I'd be able to laugh about it though because it was extremely weird. Number 2. Strange woman. On August 24th, 2018, a resident from the Sunrise Ranch neighborhood in Montgomery, Texas, contacted local authorities after a strange woman rang her doorbell in the middle of the night. A partially undressed woman who appeared to be wearing some sort of hand restraint rang the bell and left. Some people believe she was related to a local missing persons, but law enforcement do not believe that she matched the missing person flyers that were sent in. Now, deputies canvassed the area with descriptions of the mysterious woman and asked neighbors if they had heard anything. Then on August 29th, authorities identified the 32-year-old woman as only Lauren. Police confirmed that she was alive after a house call. A man in the home threatened to end his life, and when authorities arrived, they discovered the man, later identified as Dennis Collins. He had died from a self-inflicted. Now, Dennis's girlfriend was the mysterious woman. Authorities say she is the victim of domestic violence. On September 18th, Lauren opened up on Inside Edition detailing how she ended up at the doorbell. She fell asleep next to her boyfriend of 4 months and woke up to what seemed like a nightmare. "I woke up and he was kneeling on my chest and stuffing some sort of cloths in my mouth," she said. "I truly felt like I was going to die that night." And coming in at number 1 is house explosion. On August 16th of this year, an explosion in a residential
residential suburb outside of Pittsburgh left 6 people dead, including a father and son, and injured several others. It destroyed 3 houses and damaged at least a dozen more, authorities said. First responders who rushed to the plum found people trapped under debris and took 3 people to the hospital. The remains of 5 victims, 4 adults and 1 child, was also found at the scene. Another person died a couple days later at a local hospital. The Allegheny County Office of the Medical Examiner said. The incident appeared to begin when one house exploded, engulfing 2 neighboring homes in flames as well, according to the county. Now, multiple other homes were damaged with windows blown out, and crews from 18 fire departments covered the scene and put out the flames and sift through the rubble. Now, what's incredible is that a neighboring house caught the explosion on camera. Fire officials are still investigating the cause of the explosion, and investigators are aware the homeowners of the exploded house were having issues with the water tank in their basement and are looking into that as a potential cause, along with any and all other possibilities, they said in an update. I heard this boom, it was so loud that it woke me up. I thought it was thunder from the storms last night, a neighbor Alexis Tempinski told CNN affiliate WTAE. My water bottle fell on me instantaneously, I was shaking, it scared me so bad. Number 10. Not so friendly. This story goes, my family and I used to live in a rough neighborhood when I was a kid. One night it was just my mom, my 2 siblings, and I at home, and my dad was gone on a business trip. Around midnight, someone started knocking on our door. My mom woke up, went to the front door, and asked who it was. No one answered, and this happened multiple times, so she began to worry and grabbed a weapon to protect herself. Then more knocking. My mom began shouting at whoever it is that she's going to call the cops. At about 2 a.m. the police finally showed up and did a quick search outside of our house while we waited inside. After their search, they told my mom that they had found a piece of barbed wire about 4 feet long next to the front door and asked if it belonged to my mom. It didn't, and the cops told her it belonged to whoever was knocking on the door. That they were planning on strangling my mom with the barbed wire when she opened the door to see who was knocking. That morning, as they were searching around the house, they found footprints leading around to the back of the house and up to my bedroom window. They had also found nicks in the window seal where the person was trying to pry it open to break in, but failed. My mom always suspected it was this one neighbor because he would always stare at my mom through his curtains and wasn't very friendly. He also knew when my dad wasn't home. We moved out of that house after that, and all I can say is that was a good choice because that sounds terrifying. Number 9. Wouldn't take no. This user said my neighbor had seen me stumbling to my front door drunk and decided he'd try playing into my obviously altered state. I was young, so I was still unsure how to handle those types of males, and my birthday had just passed, so when he gave me a hug, I assumed it was a nice gesture. Then I tried hurrying off, but he kept trying to come in and have a beer to celebrate more appropriately. He refused to take no for an answer, so I pretended like I didn't have my house keys to hold him off. I walked a little bit off to the side, pretending to call someone who might have my keys, but I really called my cousin, telling him how freaked out I was. He rushed over to get me right away. The neighbor dude was in his 50s and I was 22. He didn't take kindly to my rejection that night and ended up poisoning my dogs later on out of pure pettiness. That sounds so creepy, and why'd you have to take it out on the dog? Number 8. Not a family man. This online user said, I didn't really talk to him, but I'm pretty sure he did something to his wife and daughter. When I met the wife, she was really sweet, but the husband, however, was kinda sketchy. Then one day, the police came knocking. They asked my mom if she knew anything about the neighbors, said that he and the wife supposedly gotten divorced, and asked if we knew the whereabouts of his wife and daughter. We said no, and they told us that apparently the wife ran away and they couldn't track down the daughter. The only thing we knew about the wife was that she had a daughter, was maybe pregnant, and she drove a white Jeep. A couple months later, the husband was cleaning his car and my mom and I were leaving for an appointment when my mom noticed the white Jeep in the garage. If the wife had run off, then wouldn't she have taken the Jeep? The dude saw that my mom had noticed the white Jeep, and a couple days later, he sold it. At one point, we had gotten a package for them delivered to our house, so we went to return it. His house smelled like illegal substances and the deceased, and we saw a weapon on the dining room table. Again, terrifying. Number 7. Stalked. This user had very strange encounters with one of their neighbors. They said, "There's this one guy in my neighborhood. We seem to operate on the same schedule since we see each other at the bus stop almost every day. We never talk much, he always just asks me for a cigarette, and I usually give him one. The problem is I don't have a sensible schedule. My classes are at a different time every day and get rescheduled more often than not, and I make my own work hours, so I just come in whenever. Last time I saw him was a couple of hours ago. I'm walking home middle of the night and some guy jumps me from the back saying, 'Do you have a cigarette?' I turn around and it's the same guy, just strolling around the neighborhood at 2:30 a.m. looking for someone to lend him a smoke." Now that seriously sounds like a stalker, and I hope this person has protected themselves.
In our 6th spot, we have the uninvited guest. Oh no. 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 Oh my god, it's so big. Ew, ew. Oh man, that is disgusting. That is so gross. Where is this? Is this Australia? Because I know they have huge spiders there. Again, I'm glad that we don't have big spiders where I live, because that's a big note from me. Did you see that thing? It was massive. That's disgusting. Imagine somebody, like the mailman, coming up to your door, about to ring the door, and seeing that. No, no. Oh, whew. I feel like there's a spider on me now. Gross. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the clown. So a couple of years ago in Green Bay, Wisconsin, a number of residents were terrified after seeing this strange clown walking around in the middle of the night. The man you just saw in the video was named Gags the Green Bay Clown. He was first spotted at 2 a.m. on August 1st. Then over the nights he would stalk a number of homes. If you're scared of clowns, then surely seeing this outside your house in the middle of the night would give you a heart attack. And at number 4, we have the eye. That was so creepy. All I heard is, hey, hey, what do I do? There's a big creature. That's like literally all I heard, and that's all I need to hear, because that's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. Who is this dude? Who is this house? Why doesn't he just call the cops? And why has he got a really creepy eyeball? And like I said, he's gonna pluck those eyebrows, because, you know, they're not working. I hope that man's okay. Yeah. That's all I gotta say. Coming in at number 3, we have the ghost. Now, what's terrifying about this next clip is the fact that we can hear somebody at the door, but we can't see anyone. The Ring doorbell went off and started recording, so it clearly detected that something was there. But what is it? By sounds of the voice, it's probably a demon. I think it's time for that house to have an exorcism or something. If anyone can decode what that demon is talking about, then let me know. Maybe it's just cold and wants to come in and warm up. Moving on to number 2, we have the delivery. Hear the police sirens? Oh my god. It's like they're coming for him. What is that? What did he just drop off on their front porch? I don't know, but I wouldn't open that. Nuh-uh. I have no clue what that is, and I don't want to know what that is, because it's probably something bad, because this looks like an evil man, and I don't like him. That's terrifying. And in our number 1 spot, we have the old woman. She's not okay. She is possessed or something. I have no clue what was in her hand. She's definitely possessed by something. I don't know what's wrong with her. Her face looks evil. Like, that's an evil Karen right there, and I don't like that. See, this is why I don't want to get one of these doorbells. Like, I feel like I should, because it's like I can spy on people that come and, you know. But at the same time, it's like, do I really want to know who's standing outside my house? Not really. It's scary.
Off at number 10, we have a masked monkey wrench wielder. That's a tongue twister, you try it. Anyways, Mary Simonton, the YouTube user who posted the video, says she found out later that this was just a trick-or-treater, but before that, she was initially really scared because she didn't know the context. And me too, like, just have a look for yourself. This trick-or-treater rolls up at 7:06 p.m. on Halloween looking like, as Mary says, something out of The Purge. They are wearing a gray hoodie with a Purge-style mask and wielding a red monkey wrench. Like, while I'm sad this person didn't get the candy they were looking for, as we all should on Halloween, I don't blame Mary for steering clear. If you're at home alone and that shows up at your door, it's just better safe than sorry. Like, seriously, I legit went out trick-or-treating as a serial killer when I was 11 and I was less intimidating. That being said, I was dressed like a spoon while holding a butter knife to a mini box of corn pops, so obviously I wasn't that scary and it wasn't a cool costume, I have to admit, but I'll be better this year, I swear. Anyways, enough about me, let's move on to number 9. This one, we have a masked figure covering the camera. This video was uploaded to YouTube by user Jeff Davis, who said he was notified by his Ring doorbell that someone was at the door. This was shortly after him and his partner put their kids to bed. As you can see in the video, a masked figure comes up to the door and immediately covers the doorbell with what I believe is a sticker. After 4 seconds, the adhesive on one side wears off and suddenly peels away. But when this happens, the person is nowhere to be seen. Like, where did they go? Davis asked in the description whether viewers think it was kids up to no good or something more sinister, but what do you think? When I looked into this user, it didn't seem like he was hunting for views, so I think it's legit. It's creepy thinking that people out there are doing things like this for pranks when it's more than a little unsettling, right? That happened to me. I don't know. But anyways, on to number 8. We have what appears to be a clown with a machete. So another creepy one, alright. So we know that every once in a while there is a creepy clown phase that happens, and one result of these phases are clowns ringing doorbells. This time it's a clown appearing at a house in Toledo, Ohio. In this video we see a person wearing dirty white coveralls with yellow rubber gloves and a clown mask, and they're holding a machete. This person saunters up and hovers around the door before ringing the doorbell about 30 seconds into the video. At this point we get a good look at the creepy mask this person is wearing. This is where I know I'd be freaking out. If I saw this, I'd freaking scream, and I'm not even afraid of clowns. Don't try to tell me that you wouldn't be just at least a little bit scared if this shows up on your doorstep in the middle of the night. Jeez. But next, something good happens, I think. It appears the clown figure realizes the doorbell has a camera and walks off, or he realizes the doorbell has a camera and decides to try another entrance, but who knows? One thing is, with number 7, we know the outcome of the scary situation that was caught on camera. This video takes place in Dallas when the homeowner was at work. 2 men come up to her door and one knocks, but they leave quickly when they see the camera in the doorbell.
Oh, there's a camera right there. What's that doing?
Already, this seems suspicious. The house's owner, Kay, feels like something's not sitting right too, so she stays on the line with the Ring doorbell cam. It's a good thing she does, because within minutes the two are back and attempting to kick down her door.
Hello? Cops are on their way.
The homeowner, Kay, scares them off just by saying hello. Then, as they run, she warns them that the police are on their way. A little epilogue for you: the 2 men aren't caught right away, but within a couple of weeks, with the help of Ring, the doorbell provider spreading the footage, the 2 men are arrested. Which, good thing, because I wouldn't want anyone trying to like kick down my door, because I don't know, what if the hinges are rusty? I'm afraid. Ooh. But not everyone gets as smooth an experience with Ring, the doorbell camera thing, as Kay did, the last homeowner.
Number 6. Faking it. This person tells a story about their mother. They said, "My mom had this neighbor who pretended to be weak from cancer/chemo, so her landlord couldn't get mad at her for when the trash bins were full and the lawn was filthy. She even went as far as shaving her head and faking a limp, cane, and everything. Mom baked her some cookies and offered to take care of her bins and lawn, and another neighbor spilled about her scam. My mom, now enlightened about my neighbor's faking and tired of the trash blowing into our yard, called the landlord. Neighbor wasn't happy and would blast music at ungodly hours
hours of the night, wee morning, to get back at my mom. Mom would get frustrated because she worked late and left early, filed a noise complaint with the police. The neighbor claims my mom, an old little Asian lady, punched her in the chest. The neighbor wants her arrested, mom shows cops our security cam footage, no mom punching, instead finds crazy neighbor kicking her daughter out in the middle of the night. The daughter is banging on her door and my mom comes out to check on the noise, tries to bring the hysterical girl inside, and the neighbor comes out and sprays her with a hose. Then the neighbor was taken away and the daughter was sent to live with dad. That honestly sounds like a happy ending for everyone involved. Number 5. Stealing farm animals. This user said, I live on a farm and we had one guy who was a real jerk. He was known to have definitely stolen sheep from us. In some cases, he had shorn the wool off of them, sold it, and returned the sheep, and sometimes ate the sheep, as we suspect. He demanded that we front the bill to fix the fence despite it being between our two properties and refusing to split the costs. He had a house on the property that he rented to his farmhand, and the farmhand found him in there one day, going through his things and telling him he wasn't allowed to leave the property under any circumstances while under his employ. The guy quit straight after that and wanted to work for us. We had another old neighbor who regularly would try and play chicken with us in the car and once pointed a weapon at my dad after my dad questioned why he sent his friends to hunt on our property. One horrible neighbor is one thing, but having to deal with two, I can't imagine. Number 4. Terrorizing a neighborhood. This online user said, when I was in high school, there were a few disturbing occurrences in my neighborhood. A woman down the street who lived alone woke up one night to go to the bathroom and heard her TV on in the living room. She found a guy sitting on her couch watching the TV. She started screaming, obviously terrified, and the guy ran out of her house. Maybe a week later, there was a family with a young daughter. She woke up in the middle of the night with her bedsheets pulled down and a guy tickling her feet. Again, started screaming and the guy fled. Another week or so later, 3 houses down where an elderly couple lived, the husband woke up in the middle of the night to find a man standing over his bed and staring at his wife sleeping. Now they somehow figured out who it was and everyone in the neighborhood got a flyer with his picture. Behind us was a densely wooded area that stretches for a couple of miles in every direction. This guy had been literally living in those woods for upwards of a month in a tent. One night in the middle of all these incidents, we had our sliding glass door open with just the screen door behind it shut. We had a big backyard and it was pitch black back there at night. Our dog suddenly jolted up and started growling viciously. My father jumped up and put the floodlight on over the deck to see what was back there, but there was nothing. The next morning we were outside doing yard work and noticed the lock on our back gate was broken. It's very safe to assume that this guy had tried to get into our backyard house but was deterred by my dog's growling and barking. If I woke up to some man tickling my feet, I don't think I'd ever be able to sleep again. Ugh. I hope they were able to find and catch this man who did this because that would make me uneasy if I lived there. Number 3. Obsessed with my mom. This user said, my parents have a neighbor that is obsessed with my mom. It was innocent enough at first, he was just nice and they'd have small conversations. They became friendly and we would invite him over for barbecues and everything. Then he started to get creepy. Every single time my mom would take the dog out, he would appear outside and want to talk to her. He would find an excuse to come knock on our door every single day. He got the same haircut and grew the same goatee as my dad and started to dress like my dad. He then went and bought the exact same type of motorcycle as my dad. He then started showing up at my mom's work, bringing her lunch and flowers. That's when my dad had to confront him and it almost became physical, and he has mostly stayed away since. Excuse me? So weird. Number 2. Hates the dog. This story goes, we had a large fenced-in backyard. My dog wasn't terribly loud and she wasn't aggressive at all. She was just the size of a lab, and my neighbors, specifically the wife, thought that made her evil. They called the cops more than once, saying my dog was terrorizing the neighborhood. The cops came, met the dog, and we explained that she was always in her yard. They left saying just make sure she stays in the yard, and the neighbor called 2 more times to complain, and eventually they went and spoke to her about ludicrous complaints. Here is when she started taking matters into her own hands. We noticed our dog was getting sick a lot.
like really sick. We took her to the vet and the vet said we needed to stop feeding her human food that could be bad for dogs. We had no clue what she was talking about. We went back home and decided to keep a closer eye on her. Turns out our neighbor had been dumping all manners of vile things over our fence. Food scraps, mop water, and God knows what else. We went and finally spoke to her about this and she denied it. Finally, we caught her on video and made sure she saw us recording her. Later that night, the husband comes over and apologizes for his wife and begs us not to call the cops. He promises he'll ensure our dog is left alone. We agreed but said if anything happened to our dog again, we would press charges. Thankfully, she stopped coming after our dog and eventually she fell very ill and passed. Her husband was like a different person, he invited us over for barbecues and all, and eventually even got himself a little dog. Now that is just evil. Messing with a poor dog, like, that's just wrong. And coming in at number 1 is crime scene. This online user said, my dad lives in an apartment and one day he came home to cops outside of his door. They asked him some questions about his neighbor across the hall. Just general stuff like have you noticed anything weird, etc. My dad told him no, he looks like a well put together 30-ish-year-old businessman. The cops go on to explain that a 30-year-old woman is missing and was last seen by a security camera walking into the building with this man. But they never had any footage of her, or him for that matter, leaving the apartment. The cops stayed outside and monitored the apartment until about 5 p.m. that night when they finally got a warrant. They noticed a shower curtain missing and golf clubs scattered on the bedroom floor. They end up arresting the guy, and fast forward 3 weeks and the cops find her body about 45 minutes south in the woods on the side of a bike trail. Then about 2 months ago they found more tapes as the investigators went back to look at them. They discovered the man leaving the apartment with his golf bag. But like I said earlier, all of his clubs were in his room. I'm sure many people have put 2 and 2 together. A full-size woman wouldn't fit in a golf bag, but that's how he got her out. I mean, hey, at least nothing bad happened to their dad, but that is just scary.